Good day, everyone. My name is Sam Robinson of bookkeepers.com, and today we are going to be joined by George Abdelmessih of Financial Sense, specifically to see how Financial Sense will help with the month-end closing process, something that's a major headache for a lot of bookkeepers and accountants. You'll probably know of Financial Sense as a really good workflow management tool for bookkeepers and accountants, and George here is on the leading edge of that. But before we get started on that, George, please tell us a little bit about you and how you got into Financial Sense.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me, Sam. I really appreciate you guys inviting us here and having us on. My name is George Abdelmessih. I'm the head of sales here at Financial Sense. I've been with the company now for 3 years. Been working in the accounting space for probably about 10, but I was excited when I first saw Financial Sense because one of the things I kept hearing in my prior life was that accountants really needed a better workflow management tool and a better way of kind of managing the practice overall. So I was really excited whenever I found Financial Sense, something I could actually, help people with, and I got real excited with it. So we came on, got set up, and what I really love about the system is that we're constantly improving the platform by taking customer feedback, right, and actually understanding what it is that accountants need and the bookkeepers need, and actually implementing that into the platform. And I'm excited today I get to show you guys the month-end close tool, which is something that we've had a lot of people asking for a long time. And it's a really cool feature. It really helps save a lot of time. And it's also something that I found not just the accountants, the firm owners want to use, but it's something that their team wants to use because it actually helps them get the work done efficiently and effectively. And it's also something that the clients enjoy using because it's actually a very simple, easy to use portal. They know exactly what they need to do. They know exactly how to do it without the headaches that you get with a lot of these other portals. And then it just becomes this constant fight of like, well, I'm waiting on the client or they're waiting on me. It makes it very simple. And we'll see that a little bit today.
Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'm excited to see it, George.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and pull up on my screen and share my screen with you guys so y'all can see. Okay, so what we're looking at here is what we call the workflow dashboard, right? And the point of this page is to show you guys exactly what's going on within the organization. I can see all the projects that I'm working on in one place, and it gives me some really helpful information. You guys will notice we have these different columns here. You can actually customize those columns to see exactly what you want to see. And every member of the team has the ability to do this. They can customize their own views so that it makes sense to how you're going to work individually. Right? If I like it one way and Sam likes it another way, that's fine. We can actually customize it and set it up the way that we want. But the idea behind this is each of these lines tells me a story of what's going on. And I should be able to look at this and tell that for Saks Roofing, we're working on their payroll. It's currently an extension. It's stuck. It's waiting on client. We have these tags that you can see, and these tags can be your different statuses. Right. But we can also understand some additional information. Like in this case, we have the team chat where I can actually see that in this case, in this particular project, we've communicated about it internally 4 times. And I can actually click on this and see the internal communication going back and forth between team members so that information, that communication that we're having about that project lives with the project. And 6 months down the road, a year down the road, if I have to come back and look at something and understand why did we do it the way that we did it, I actually can see the communication that we had around it, right? That way it actually makes sense and we know exactly where to find it. It's not difficult to I don't have to go through my emails to figure out, well, why did Sam do it this way whenever I asked him to do it this way? All that's listed right here, right? But what's also cool about this is you'll see a little red dot next to something if there's something new that you haven't seen yet. So if there was a new message I hadn't seen yet, I'd actually be able to tell there's a new message here that I need to go pay attention to, right? We also have the client task feature, which you'll see inside of the actual project itself, where we list out the different tasks that need to be accomplished. What tasks are internal? So something that I assign to one of my employees or one of the internal staff members versus what's external, so something that I've assigned to the client, whether it's to, request documents from them, whether it's to ask them a question, whether it's to, get them to sign something, whatever it might be, that's going to be listed underneath the client task section that we have inside of the system. And I can tell without ever going into the project how many of those items we requested and how much of that has actually come back. Okay. So if I had 7 out of 7 here, this waiting on client tag would actually be client info received, right? So I know that, just by looking at it, I've gotten the information I need. We can set our start dates. We can actually set our due date, and we even have the option to do an internal due date, and we can even see what our next task due date is, meaning inside these projects, we have the tasks that are internally assigned to us, and we can set due dates upon those tasks, and I can see when the actual next internal due date is, or when the next task due date is for that particular project. I can also look at this and tell whose desk is this sitting on. If we're tracking time, I can tell how much time we've tracked versus how much time we budgeted. If we've gone over our budgeted time, we can actually see that here in red that we've actually gone over versus here, it's still all black because we budgeted 5 hours. We're only at 4.09 hours. So we're still in the clear, right? But we're going to be able to tell that information here. So when we go into an actual project, you'll actually see that inside the project itself, we have team section and we have our client request section, which is going to be more like this right here. Okay, so the client request section is where I'm actually asking the customer for certain information, and the team section is where I'm assigning work to different team members, and they can actually see the tasks that they need to complete. Okay, we even have a transaction review section, which is what we're going to be talking about with the month-end close. Okay, but I first want to show you guys, number one, how do we even get this? How do we get all this in here? Do I have to manually come in here and create all this? What do I need to do in order to get these tasks? So in order to do that, what we're going to do is, if we create a project, we're going to just simply create the project from the create button. We can do this from any page. I can tell it which client it's going to be for. And I'm also going to come in here and tell it whether I want to do this from scratch, where I'm going to manually enter all the tasks in, or because a lot of the work you guys do is going to be repeatable, right? So if I'm doing a monthly bookkeeping service, or if I'm doing, tax service or whatever it might be, those services, the steps to handle that work is generally speaking the same across most customers. Okay. Now that's not to say that it's the same across every customer, because it's not. And we understand that. So what we've done is we've built a system that allows you to create these templates where I can actually have a pre-existing list of like, this is how I want to get my work done. So I'm just going to come look for my monthly bookkeeping, for example, and I'll create the project from here. I can create it for a single client or for multiple clients at the same time. In this case, I'll just create it for this one particular client, Adeline. I can set my start date, my due date. You guys notice this one's already preset for me because it's built into the template that I automatically schedule it that way for today and then make it due on the end of the month. I can tell it how often I need this to repeat. Unlike a lot of other systems that you guys may be used to, Financial Sense will allow you to recur a project even if another one hasn't closed yet. So as an example, we haven't completed our monthly bookkeeping for December yet, but it's time for me to go ahead and start January's. So it'll still go ahead and create January even though December hasn't been closed. And the way we do that is by setting our accounting period to let it know, hey, this is a monthly setup. This is going to be specifically for January, or this is going to be for, say, December of 2025. So I can create that. That way, when the project gets created, it'll actually have the tag of what month it's for. Okay. The next step that we're going to do is assigning the work to the different team members. So the individual tasks can be assigned to different roles, like the admin role, the bookkeeper role, the reviewer role. So now I'm going to assign my employees to work on those roles. So in this case, I'm going to be the bookkeeper, Will's going to be my admin, and Casey's going to be my reviewer. So when I hit create all the tasks from the template that I created, and it actually knows what information we need to ask the client. You notice that this already shows scheduled, meaning it already knows that it's going to send out the request to the client in 2 days from now. Okay. So I don't have to touch it. I don't have to do anything. It's automatically going to ask the client for this information. If I want to come in and customize it, I want to specifically ask them to upload their Chase bank statement or upload their Visa credit card statement versus their Amex credit card statement. I can come in and adjust this before it goes out and actually have it sent out. Or I can even adjust it after the fact and it'll still show up for the client with the specific wording that we want. Okay. But the idea behind this is that I can schedule this and set it up to where it automatically goes out as needed. And then my actual work is going to get listed in here. Okay. And what you'll see is the work has already been assigned to the right team members. And I even have budgeted time on how much time each of these tasks should take. So it knows how much time to assign to my team member for my capacity management report. So I actually know who's got free time to actually work on new work and who doesn't. And I can actually, Sam's going to be taking a vacation. He's going to be sitting on the beach in Mexico sipping a Mai Tai. I know when I'm letting him, when he's asking that time off, I can actually see what work he has. And then I can go reassign that work to the right team members who are going to actually be free to handle it while he's actually out on vacation, right? So there's a lot that kind of goes into this in the terms of like what all we can do, but it's actually a very simple setup, right? The other thing that I like about this is that, there is no such thing as a perfect template, right? There's no template that's going to be the one template. that's perfect for every single customer. Because clients are different. Clients, as an example, reconciling their bank accounts. Well, I actually have subtasks that I can create in here. And I might want to list out which accounts we need to reconcile for this client. And that's going to be different for this client versus the next client. So the idea behind the template is you want it to be about 95% of the way there so that you don't have to come in and rebuild it all. But I like to compare this to like a builder who builds homes, right? They got the model floor plans that you guys can go tour. You can go see this is what it's going to look like, right? But the idea is once you've selected the template, now you get to go to the design center and customize it and make it your own, right? And then it'll know from there next month when this repeats, it knows to create the customized version, not the standardized template. Right. So once I come in and make my adjustments here, next month, I don't have to make those adjustments unless something changes. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So once we've got all that set up in here, guys, what we're also able to do is we can actually come in and set up automation. So you see these little lightning bolts that lets me know that there's an automation of some sort in here, meaning the tag's going to automatically adjust as needed, or I can actually have it say, once we're done with this task, I want the system to email the client, and I can have a templatized email that says exactly what I need it to say. We can even have it auto-populate certain information in their form, or I can even have it go create a whole other project for me. The other thing that we've recently added, and the whole reason we're here is to talk about month-end close, right? Well, one of the things that we've been able to do now is actually add the month-end close reports directly to these tasks, which allows me to say, hey, let's pretend that this particular task was to categorize the uncategorized expenses. So I can actually tell it, add the uncategorized expense report to this task so that now when I look at this, you'll see that there's going to be a little view report button that shows up here, which means I can click on this and it's actually going to go into QuickBooks and pull all my uncategorized transactions and list them out right here for me. Okay. And what that's going to end up really looking like is I can actually create a whole other section specifically for this and say, hey, add the month end close section so that it actually adds all my transaction review reports, like my uncategorized transactions, the transactions without payees, without class, without location, any bills or expenses without an attachment, inconsistent expenses, which is one of my favorites because this actually takes a look at, normally I'm categorizing this transaction from this vendor as a gas expense. And all of a sudden it got categorized as an office expense. Well, then it's going to flag that and put it in this report so that I can actually go back and take a look at it and correct anything that I may need to correct. Okay. We can also look at any transactions that are over a certain dollar amount or under a certain dollar amount. But just by hitting the view report button, it's going to actually pull those transactions in. I don't have any in this particular one, but if I go look at the client's profile page, because that one was specifically for December of 2026, but if I come in and go look at the client's profile page, this is where you go find out everything you need to know about a client in one place. So all the projects that I'm working on, any client notes that I have, and I can see this is just like a quick little summary of it. But if I hit one of the tabs, like the notes tab, I can see all the notes and I can have pages and pages of notes if need be. But if I hit the month end close option, then I can actually come in here and I can see all of the uncategorized transactions for this particular client. And I can see all those transactions here, and I can actually send out a request to the client to say, hey, I need to know what this transaction was for. And then the client in the portal is going to be able to see it. They're going to be able to actually tell me, oh, hey, that was, me purchasing a laptop for my admin, right? That's why I spent that money at Best Buy, right? Or that's why I spent, we bought ink for the printer, whatever it might be. But we'll see what the client's answer is here, okay? And once we see that, we can then come in here and actually categorize it directly in Financial Sense. We can also adjust the class, the location, any of these other columns that you see here. We're actually going to be able to adjust all that directly in Financial Sense. And then once we adjust it in Financial Sense, we can mark it as complete, and then it will go update QuickBooks. What I also really like about this is that on the client's end, inside of the client portal, they're actually able to upload their receipt directly to that transaction, which means if I've got an invoice, I got a receipt, I've got the bill, I can actually upload that to the transaction. And when it pushes through to QuickBooks, it actually keeps that transaction, that receipt, that invoice, that whatever it is, that document, and applies it to the transaction in QuickBooks as well. So not only did you sent it out through here, right? And you can actually auto share this, meaning I can tell the system, go back and look at all of the most recent transactions within this time frame and automatically send it out every Tuesday or send it out every other Tuesday. So every other Tuesday, it's going to look at any uncategorized transactions that we still have open for that client, and it'll automatically send out the request to the client. And once the client gets it done, it'll notify me so that I can then go categorize them correctly. So again, makes my job much easier. I have to go between QuickBooks and Financial Sense and the portal and grabbing all these documents and doing all this. I can do it all within the actual task manager or the project management system itself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, what this looks like is, it's kind of funny. It might sound like a paradox, but it's so robust, but it also seems very user friendly, very intuitive to work with something like Financial Sense, but it also has all the features that you want.
Yeah, our goal when we built this, right, was we wanted to make it as simple to use as possible, and we wanted the buttons to be in the areas that you guys expect them to be, right? That way, we try to think like a bookkeeper. We try to think like the accountant that's actually going to be using the platform. And since we got a lot of engineers that are actually building this, we have them actually interview customers, real live customers that are actually using the platform to then tell us exactly how it should be built or where things should be. We really live off the feedback of customers. This is really a tool that other bookkeepers have built because they told us what to go build and we actually just listened to what they said and went and built that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Awesome. By bookkeepers for bookkeepers. Well, George, thank you so much for sharing this with us today. Please, if you don't mind, tell us where we can find you and find out a bit more about Financial Sense.
Yeah, so if you guys just go to www.financial-sense.com, right?
Don't forget the dash, guys.
Yep, it's very important to have the dash in there. But if you go to financialsense.com, or if you even just Google search us and look for Financial Sense, you'll see we actually have a lot of information on our website. You guys can actually go book a live demo, and you can actually get with one of my guys to actually sit down and walk you guys through how the platform can work specifically for you and for your needs. There's a ton of other capabilities within the platform. We can do everything, invoicing and billing, actually sending out emails, checking your emails in the system. There's all sorts of really cool things that we can do. So if you guys have questions about it or want to see a demo of it, feel free to come in, talk to us. We're more than happy to help and talk to you guys.
Well, thank you so much, George. And again, we appreciate you for coming to share this and walk through the month-end closing and everything else with Financial Sense. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. Please comment, like, subscribe. It helps us out. It helps you out. And until next time, see you later, guys.